So the Tigers will receive to start the first half. The Tigers will be going right to left on your radio dial, and the Tigers will be wearing their purple home jerseys. They've got white numerals, white helmets with purple tiger paw, gray pants tonight, not the black pants that we saw against Ridgeland. Tajay Watley, he is going to stand just in front of the goalpost in front of the A.J. Huffman Memorial Athletic Center. The A.J. Huffman Memorial Athletic Center, named after a Darlington student tragically killed in an auto accident. His classmates loved him very dearly and raised the money for the athletic facility. Buckle those chin straps. Toe meets leather. It's going to be kind of a onside kick. Robert, it bounced up in the air. One of the Darlington upmen got the ball. Tigers will scrimmage in fairly good field position at their own 38 to start the game.
Steve, I'm wondering if they haven't done that a couple times in the season. The first front of the Darlington receiving team was ready for that. They were looking for that, and I think that they've been coached up all week to get ready for that. And it also lets you know a little bit what the Gordon Lee coaches think if they need to do an onside kick right at the start of the game. We'll see here as Darlington takes the offense, takes a first snap.
Griffin Brewster hands it to Tajay Watley trying to get outside. He cuts it up on the near hash, and he's going to be dropped after a 1-yard gain. And we'll set the picture for Gordon Lee. The Trojans come in. Their colors are navy and white. They have white travel jerseys, navy blue numerals, white pants, white helmets. And they used to say a GL on the side. I can't see tonight. They might have changed them for this year. And Gordon Lee bringing 6 men up to the line of scrimmage. Griffin Brewster gets the snap. And that ball's tipped, and it's going to be intercepted. And Griffin Brewster trying to get it out to a receiver on the near side, and it was tipped up in the air, Robert, by Patrick Howard, the senior. He grabbed his own tip, intercepted it, and now the Trojans are going to be in good shape at the Darlington 28.
Well, it was, and I think you just saw 2 miscues on the first opening play. That first play, the line had a great seal, and we missed a block on the middle linebacker trolling down. If we make that block, Tajay Watley's running for 10 yards there. On that last play, the offensive lineman blocking disengaged on that defensive end and let him get his arms up. If he stays focused blocking at him, he's not going to have a chance to get his arms up and make that block.
Thompson rolls to his left, and he throws the ball complete out on the far sideline, and that's complete to number 17 of Gordon Lee, Kanan Derryberry. Boy, we're going to have a hard time with that one tonight. I may just have to call him KD.
Yeah.
We'll be stumbling around on that, but a nice gain of about 6.
It was. We were in soft 3-deep coverage, so the cornerback kind of sloughed off and let him do that. I think we'll keep a little bit of a cushion here early in the first quarter to make sure see what that quarterback can do.
Thompson in a shotgun, and he's going to hand it to number 2. I believe that is Jarvis. Yes, it is. And he is going to be inside the 10-yard line, and just a nice little handoff there to his halfback. They're running a spread offense, and he's got first down yardage. He'll be first and goal at the Darlington 9.5.
And that was a really nice job blocking by the Gordon Lee offensive line. He had a nice big hole and didn't really get touched until he was 5 or 6 yards down the field. Just physically looking at the Gordon Lee and Darlington lines, Darlington looks a lot bigger, and hopefully we can start using that physicality to our influence, but not on that play.
All right, first and goal for the Trojans. They've called a timeout, so we're going to send it back to WLAQ for a 30-second break, and we will be back for Darlington football. No score. Keep the chin straps buckled, and we'll talk to you in just a minute. Back at Jerry Sharp Field at Chris Hunter Stadium. And Robert, thus far in the early going, of course, Darlington throwing that interception on the second play from scrimmage. Gordon Lee getting a first down. So you hope to dig in here. But it's an early early in the game.
Yeah, it's certainly not the way the coaches drew it up in the locker room 10 minutes ago. Gordon Lee has steadily marched down the field with not a whole lot of resistance. We hope we can stop this now.
Thompson in a shotgun. Jarvis to his left. 2 wide outs to the far side, 1 to the near side. Darlington bringing extra men up. A handoff to Jarvis, and Jarvis puts both arms around the ball and goes off tackle inside the 6 down to about the 5. Darlington had a couple of defensive linemen, Robert, run past him.
Yeah, we got missed tackle right at the line of scrimmage that we're going to want back. Just left our feet and dove for the running back.
Thompson in his shotgun. 1 wide out to this side, 2 to the far side. He's going to fake it to Jarvis, and that did not fake Tinkerbell out. Tinkerbell comes in and sacks Thompson as he's trying to run a zone read to the opposite side, Robert. Nice read by Jacob Hunt.
I think that was a little frustration he took out on the quarterback after that play. That was a nice play off the corner for Jacob.
Every once in a while, you just see Jacob want to sprinkle some pixie dust on somebody and lay them out. That was a nice tackle. And that's going to be a loss back to about the 8. It's going to be 3rd and goal for the Trojans. Thompson in a shotgun, 2 wide outs to this side. He's rolling to this side. He throws the ball complete to a man who I think does get in. Yes, he does.
That is a very generous call. I don't think he got in.
Yeah, and that was Rhett McDermott who tackled him, but he did get into the end zone according to the referee. And that's going to be 6 points for Gordon Lee. And I believe that was number 24, Tucker Miller, received that pass.
And they're going, they are going for 1. Well, Steve, the reason why they called that is he bumped the pylon, but I thought he bumped the pylon after he hit the ground. If we were in college, I guarantee you Coach Eighth is throwing a challenge flag on that.
Yeah, and number 8, Jarrett Laster, he puts the point up, and Gordon Lee takes advantage of the turnover. The interception that they had a short field, started at the Darlington 28, and so they draw first blood here at Chris Hunter Stadium. 9:27 to go here in the first quarter.
All of those throws have been out into the flats, and what I mean by that is between the hash marks and the sidelines, about 5 yards out. That's usually the linebacker's responsibility in a 3-deep zone, which is what Darlington's playing. So maybe the next series you might see Coach Hunt tighten that up, either have a tighter cushion from the cornerbacks or get the linebackers out into the flat a little bit quicker.
All right. Number 8 for the Trojans, Jarrett Laster, the senior. He will be kicking the football. Here we go. Toe meets leather. It's going to be another bouncing kick. Man takes it at the 36 and just falls down over there. I think that was Ian Payne. Let's see. Yes, it was. So instead of taking that ball and running upfield, he just fell down. But Darlington will now start for their second possession at about the same place as the first. In fact, I think Darlington might have gotten about a half yard, Robert.
I think you're right, and I'm not sure he's trying to onside kick it. I think he's trying to keep it away from Tyjae Watley, and I think they're going, we'll take it on the 35 and just get it down to that second level.
Yeah, and you know, speed scares people, and Tyjae has a Griffin Brewster in a shotgun formation. Tyjae right behind him, and he's going to fake it or hand it to Tyjae. Tyjae Watley gets into the secondary so quickly, Robert, and he's got a gain of about 9 out to the 48-yard line. Nice run for Tyjae Watley.
They did. They had motion from the far side that Griffin faked after handing off to Tyjae, and the reason they're doing that is that number 55, their middle linebacker, is very active, and he has made the last 2 tackles running and chasing that play down. And by putting that motion and that fake going to the other side, they're holding him in place and letting Tyjae use his speed around the corner to the other side.
That's Caleb Bynes, and he gave us fits last year. Griffin Brewster hands off to Tyjae. They were just shooting everybody into the gap that time, Robert, and Tyjae's going to lose about half of a yard, make it 1 yard. So it's going to be 3rd down and about 2 for the Tigers.
They're going to want that play back. They ran right behind Tate Rutledge up there up front, and Darlington's offensive line got pushed back on that play.
I formation, Griffin Brewster under center, hands off to Tyjae Watley, and Tyjae gets running room, went right through a hole, Robert, off the guard, and he's going to be into Gordon Lee territory down to the 45. And this is the kind of thing we've grown accustomed to seeing Darlington do, is to just move the ball, and we got the chains moving.
Well, that was great blocking up front by the offensive line. Tyjae got to the second level, and no one touched him until 6 or 7 yards down the field. And with as fast as he is, it doesn't take much time to get him through. That was a great job by the offensive line.
3 wide outs to the near side. Gordon Lee bringing up extra people. Hand off to Carl Swiger. Carl Swiger rolling the man over backwards onto the 39-yard line of the Trojans. And, Robert, he just lowered that shoulder, and you love to have a fullback who can do that.
He did. They called that yak yards after contact. So he made it through the line. Another great job by the line blocking, and he hit a linebacker and drug him 3 or 4 yards to get there's a big difference between 2nd and 4, which we've got, and 2nd and 7, which they were looking at.
And over on that side of the line, he's running right behind Tinkerbell Ratledge and Elijah Ball, and the center over there, Jacob Daniel.
Yeah, I think that's a great spot for them to continue running all night.
Griffin Brewster hands off, or fakes
no, he
it.
fakes
it. Swiger, he keeps it 35, and he's going to be knocked down at about the 31. And, Robert, that is one of the few times we've seen him do that this year. But he's got good speed, and he's got good instincts, and that was a nice first down pickup for Brewster.
Well, that's a great play, and that play call set that up the last couple times. They've been diving inside, and when Griffin, his read is that defensive end, and that defensive end has seen them run inside the last 2 plays, so he's diving inside, and as soon as Griffin sees that, he's pulling and running right for the corner. That was a great read and a great run.
All right, here we go. Griffin Brewster hands it to Tyjae. Speed sweep 30, 25, 20. Tyjae Watley, he is going to be rolled over and down inside the 20, but that'll be another first down for the Tigers. And, Robert, it's been a long time since we've seen this kind of a rhythm on a long drive that Darlington's just pounding the ball like we've grown accustomed to over the years under Tommy Eighth and Jerry Sharp.
Well, that was a good seal block there on the end, a good reach block by the tight end, and then Tyjae uses speed to go forward. They are moving the ball at will on this drive.
And, we've also, of course, we talked about the linemen on one side. On this side, we have number 60, Austin Rogers, and 57, Colin Zazzaro. And really great to see Colin getting some playing time. He's a fine young man, and I've known him for a long time, and it's good to see him getting some playing time out there. All right, there was a stoppage of the clock. Now the referee has started the clock again. Darlington, Griffin Brewster in a shotgun, Tyjae behind him, Carl Swiger to his right, and he hands off to Tyjae. Tyjae still on his feet, and he's running hard tonight. The Georgia Tech commits down inside the 15 to the 14.
And, Steve, that play, we had something different we hadn't seen all game. Carl Swiger lined up almost as a fullback or almost a closed set back from the early 80s, and he was a lead blocker for Tyjae Watley. We hadn't seen it. Now we see it here again as Carl Swiger's lined up as an offset fullback.
And Tyjae's at the tail. Fake to Tyjae. Griffin rolling to his right, looking downfield. He's going to pull the ball down, and he spins down inside the 11 down to about the 10-yard line. And, Robert, his 2 men were covered. That's just really good maturing on the part of Griffin Brewster to pull that ball down and not to force it into coverage.
Well, when he rolled out, he saw Carl Swiger initially was open, and the linebacker that was following Brewster out turned to cover Carl. He probably could have squeezed it into Carl, but I'm with you. I think that was a much better decision to tuck the ball and run.
All right, Griffin getting the play under center. Single setback Tyjae. He's going to hand it to him, and he goes off the left side behind Daniels and Zazzaro, or Rogers and Zazzaro. He's going to be inside the 10 down to about the 8, and that is a first down on a short yardage situation. The Tigers now have first and goal.
And you saw Griffin go from the shotgun back to under center, and that's a bit of an underrated skill to go from one to another, constantly being asked by a quarterback, for being able to take the snap to back to shotgun, because they're a little bit different skill sets.
One wide out to either side. Griffin Brewster hands it to Tyjae Watley, and Tyjae is going to be inside the 6 down to about the 5. And right now, Robert, some of the Darlington bigger offensive linemen are really giving the smaller Gordon Lee linemen some fits.
Yeah, that was just a pure power play with them clearing out the way for Tyjae to run hard. And it's been interesting. Most of the runs on this drive have all been up the middle, in between, not even the tackles, but in between the guards. So obviously, Coach Bell upstairs is seeing something that they can exploit inside.
Gordon Lee, 6 men up on the line of scrimmage. Griffin Brewster, he hands it to Tajay off the right side. And that time, Gordon Lee just slid their defensive lineman down, Robert, and they clogged up the hole, and there's really no gain.
There was not much there. And I'm wondering here on third down, they've got the ball on the far hash mark with the defense strung out. I wonder if we might see some sort of sweep or kind of sprint out this our way back here to try to get to the pylon at 3rd and 5.
Yeah, we got Ezra Barnett out here on single coverage, and then over on the other side, Kellen Stepp has single coverage, and now Darlington is going to call a timeout. So with timeout on the field, we're going to send it back to WLAQ for a 30-second break. Darlington trailing 7-0, but knocking at the door with a 3rd and goal. So don't go away. We'll be right back after these messages. Speaking of Honeymoon Bakery, Robert, Honeymoon Bakery icing on the cake player of the game announced tonight after tonight's football game. Honeymoon Bakery down on Broad Street, and y'all just moved back to Rome, and I hope you've taken Nancy down to the Honeymoon Bakery because it is a delightful place to go.
I really enjoy watching them through the window making the cakes. It is impressive. It is really impressive.
And then to eat them. Yeah, it's impressive, too. All right, and also tonight, Steak and Shake halftime report and postgame report sponsored by Steak and Shake on Turner McCall Boulevard. Steak burgers, French fries, wonderful milkshakes, sponsoring tonight's halftime report and the postgame report as they do every week. Darlington, Griffin Brewster. Touchdown, Tinkerbell. Boy, he faked it to Tajay Watley. Tinkerbell slid into on a seam out there, and Darlington has closed the gap, Robert, to 7-6.
Well, Jacob was lined up in that very similar spot that Carl Swaggart had been. Not the fullback position, but kind of an offset eye. And as soon as they gave him the fake, the whole defense bought it, and Jacob was wide open on the seam, and a nice job by Griffin hitting that seam.
And Jacob Hunt, Tinkerbell, he is a commit to UNC Charlotte. He was talking to his mama a little while ago, and he's really excited about the little point up. Payne held, and I believe that was Carson Swiger who snapped that. And so Darlington, that is good. So 3:30 to play here, Robert, in the first quarter. And Darlington has tied it, so your thoughts thus far?
Well, the defense needs to be shored up. It looks like the offense got into a little bit of a rhythm, which is great. Hopefully we can stop Gordon Lee on the offense when they come back, and maybe the defense can have a chance to regroup. But those extra points, especially in a game like this, they get very underrated, especially when you have first-year guys snapping it and kicking it. There are a lot of moving pieces to that extra point. You got to have a great snap, you got to have a great hold, and then obviously the kicker's doing it. But there's a lot of things that happen before the kicker actually gets to the ball. But I liked what I saw in that last series from Darlington. That was very good, and hopefully they can keep that momentum going.
And other than the pass for the touchdown, it was all on runs.
That's right. That's right. But those runs really set that pass up. And I thought Griffin did a nice job of hitting that and making some good decisions, because with a young quarterback, making decisions is sometimes the hardest thing to do.
Little, toe meets leather. Jarvis at his inside the 5. He is really an elusive runner, and he's past the 30 out to the 35. And, boy, Braden Jarvis is impressive.
I don't think we did a great job covering our lanes on that one. We had a lot of Darlington players run by him that didn't even get a hat on him, so I think we'd like that one back.
Well, and, it's one of those things that, it's like everything else. reps.
Sure.
You got to do
yeah.
it and do it and do it. But then you see a guy you haven't seen in practice before.
It's somebody coming up the field that quick. It's a different angle that you take.
All right, Thompson in a shotgun formation. 2 wideouts to this side. Quick bubble screen, incomplete. Threw it just in front of Tucker Miller. And the sophomore could not get it, and it's going to be an incomplete pass. Now, if you're Gordon Lee and you're the head coach for the Trojans, one of the things that you're concerned about if you're Greg Ellis is you can't have wasted plays.
No, you can't. And Darlington did a much better job that time of getting out to the flat. He would have gotten a little bit of a completion, but not a whole lot.
2 wideouts to the far side, 1 to the near side. The Tigers with 4 down linemen bringing up an extra man. Thompson, he pitches to Jarvis real quick, and Jarvis hits that sideline. And, boy, I tell you, he's got a burst of speed, Robert. Great play by Thompson to get that ball to him. He had a man coming at him on the option.
That was a real quick pitch and a great read from looked like a defensive end blitzing off the side. And then Little was so fast getting to the sidelines, we just took wrong angles. Could have had him maybe on the sideline at the line of scrimmage, but he was quick.
Brain Jarvis with 111 yards from scrimmage last week up at LFO. A loss for Gordon Lee, but boy, he can do his part. Darlington is going to shoot a gap, and then just several men right there in the middle of that line, Robert. Tough sledding for Jarvis as he hits the line off one of the guards.
That was a trap play, Steve, that they brought the offside guard down to block, and you could see Little trying to cut it back up away from us, and the linebacker just filled that hole as he was trying to maneuver around. So you've seen Gordon Lee try to do a lot of speed, angle stuff with both their blocking and to get outside, because just looking from our vantage point, the two lines are significantly different sizes. Darlington has much bigger folks.
Gain of 1.5. It's going to be second down, about 8.5. Thompson back to throw, and he throws complete to a man who gets hit immediately by Tajay Watley, and he's going to be in first down territory at the 41, and that was number 24, Tucker Miller. And the sophomore's having a pretty good game here in the first quarter.
That was a pretty nice pass. He put it right where he needed, just on the other side of that linebacker. The linebacker had pretty good coverage, but he was able to thread the needle.
Model is trailing Dade County 7-0. That's a score that we've got. First and 10 for Gordon Lee at the 41-yard line of the Darlington Tigers. Thompson in a shotgun, and he looks to his left, pump fakes. Now he's going to throw to a man downfield, and it's going to be incomplete. And Robert, the receiver, did a great job of coming back. The defender ran past him. I think that's Roth Wilcox out there.
It was Roth. He did a nice job of recovering, and something we don't talk, he did a nice job of not causing interference on that play. When he had his back to him, he was able to turn back, and I'm not sure if he got his hand back on the ball or not, but the ball was slightly underthrown. I think that's what helped out.
Incomplete pass and make it second and 10. Ball at the 41-yard line on the near hash mark. And Darlington, Gordon Lee tied at 7. If you're just joining us, Gordon Lee converting on a short field after an interception. And then Darlington on a long touchdown drive. And I think Darlington is going to be guilty of encroachment here. I believe that Tinkerbell got pulled offside, and it will be an encroachment penalty against Darlington. So going from second and 10 to second and 5.
I think after facing second and 10, the Gordon Lee coach and staff wanted to go on 2 to see if they could draw somebody off, and they did. So just...
Yeah, Gordon Lee's, it's real interesting. I haven't seen them this year. They look a little smaller than the teams that we've seen over the past couple of years, but they're doing a good job of mixing up their plays.
They might be little, but they look good here in the first quarter.
Yeah, second and 5 at the 36. Thompson, quick throw out here, incomplete to number 3, and that's Henry Ellis, the freshman. It looked like Henry Ellis thought the ball was going to go a little further downfield, and it's going to be incomplete.
Yeah, I don't think he was ready for that. As when he turned around, that ball was there, and it did not appear that he had his hands up or didn't think the ball would be there that soon.
All right, and just a lot of young players on this Gordon Lee team. I'm just scanning down here, a lot of freshmen. Boy, just go through this roster here. A lot of freshmen playing for Gordon Lee, so it's a very young team. Thompson, he's a senior, and so is Jarvis. Man in motion, goes right to left. Darlington moving around on defense. Thompson, he's going to take it on an option play. That time he keeps the ball, cuts upfield. He's going to be short of the first down marker off the left side over there, Robert. I think he'll be short by about 3 yards.
I think you're right, and normally Jacob Hunt was there on the defensive end. He's going to have the quarterback, but he went too far to the upfield to try to cover the pitch man, and the quarterback did a nice job of turning and diving back and getting what he could get.
Yeah, and Darlington's linebackers, they are really active out there. And you got Tommy Atha, you got Rhett McDermott out there, and, they really move around a lot. And so they were able to bring Thompson down. It's going to be 4th down and 3. The line to make is the 31-yard line. You don't want to jump offside. 2 wide outs to this side. Man in motion left to right. That's going to be Ellis. And now Gordon Lee's going to call a let's see. Yes, they've called a timeout. For a second, the linesman on the far side was given a signal like illegal substitution, but it's a timeout.
I thought he was given an illegal shift. So Darlington changed defenses. We were in a man coverage on that. As soon as that wide receiver or the split end started in motion this way, Roth ran with him, signaling with a man coverage. That's when they immediately called timeout. So they must have been in some sort of pass play where they were expecting that zone soft coverage, and we switched over in a man, at least for that play, to try to take away that soft underbelly of the flat.
Yeah, and this is a big play for them. Both teams have scored touchdowns, and you don't want to waste a play here when you have an opportunity. 4th down and short, they really need to convert this to keep this drive going.
Well, you're in that kind of gray area where we're out of range for a field goal. A punt's not going to do us that much, because if you punt it out of the end zone and it's a touchback, it's really only a net gain of 10 yards. So you need to go for it. If you're Gordon Lee, you need to get it. If you're Darlington, you need to stop it.
All right, Gordon Lee coming out, 4th down and about 3. We're tied at 7 with 33 seconds to play here in the first quarter if you're just joining us. Both teams have driven a long way, but Gordon Lee's touchdown courtesy of a short field after an interception. Thompson rolling to his left, and he's going to pitch it to Jarvis. Jarvis trying to get to the sticks on an option play, and he does get there, I believe. Let's see where they mark it, Robert.
He got in a foot race with Rhett McDermott to the sidelines. We were in a cover 0 on that play, so everyone was in man coverage with no safety help over the top. The 2 guys from the outside ran slants in, and Gordon Lee said, I don't think you can catch Little to the sideline, and we couldn't.
All right, 3rd time they've run that option here in the first quarter, and in fact, 3rd time on this drive, and they have been successful with yardage on it. So, all right, Thompson in a shotgun, 2 wide outs to this side. Jarvis to his right, fakes it to Jarvis, throws to Ellis out here, incomplete. And Ellis didn't really have that's Tucker Miller, and incomplete. He really did not have a good chance for that. That ball was very low, and so it's incomplete, 2nd down.
It was low. Tommy Atha did a great job running up. He was right there to make the play if he did have if it was a completion.
All right, 2nd down and 10. The ball at the 31-yard line. Make it 30.5. Thompson in a shotgun formation. He's going to hand it to Jarvis. Jarvis tries to cut it upfield, and there are several purple jerseys there. And no go, and that is going to be a tackle right at the line of scrimmage. And Cam Watson came up to help out on that play. And I believe that's going to be the last play of the first quarter. It is. So, first quarter in the books. Darlington 7, Gordon Lee 7. We're going to send it back to WLAQ for a commercial break. And then we'll come back for the second quarter, 3rd down and 10 for Gordon Lee. Don't go away. We'll be right back. right, back at Chris Hunter Stadium tonight, Tyjay Watley unofficially with 39 yards in the first quarter. And Darlington ran 15 plays, and Gordon Lee ran 17. Let's see, or 15. Darlington ran 14, Gordon Lee 15. So Thompson back to throw. Almost intercepted. Boy, Robert, he was throwing that ball to that man on that little post that he was running, and Darlington had that read and almost intercepted that.
They did. Who made that play was Tate Ratledge. He went and took two offensive linemen and bench pressed them, and was right at the quarterback. He made that quarterback throw it way before he wanted to, and he was a big reason that was incomplete.
All right, it's going to be 4th down and 10 from the 31-yard line of the Tigers. Steak and Shake halftime report coming up at the end of this quarter. Stay with us for that. And our halftime feature tonight, 10 college football records that will probably never be broken. You'll want to stick around for that. All right, Watson rolling to his right. He's going to throw the ball complete to a man at the 21-yard line. And we're going to have to do some work on our internet connection for the radio, but we will get that back.
Well, Tate Ratledge caused some havoc on that play as well. Almost got to the quarterback, and then the quarterback slipped contain and was able to make a nice throw. But Tate Ratledge and Elijah Ball are starting to influence quite a bit on the, at least our right side of the offensive line, and we hope it can continue.
All right, 1st and 10 for Gordon Lee. And they're at the Darlington 19, handoff to Jarvis. And he is going to have some running room. And he will be inside the 19.
Yeah, a little bit deflated defensive line. Giving up a 4th and long is tough, especially back in your own area. I thought Darlington had him and was about to get the ball back. So it looks like it'll be 2nd and 6 for Gordon Lee.
All right, 2nd and 6. 7-7 is our score here.
All right, Gordon Lee's going to come out with a split to the right side and a give to the near side. And Little is going to outrun everyone and get about 2 or 3 yards. And that turned into a dead sprint over to the sidelines with a whole Darlington team chasing him. That's going to bring up 3rd and 4. And Steve, you got to think this is another 2-down territory for Gordon Lee. I know they've got a great kicker. Right now, we'd be looking at a 31-yard kick, and I'm not sure exactly what his range is.
All right, it's going to be 3rd down. Again, 3rd down and about 5.5. And we're working on getting some technology issues resolved here for the radio side. We're still coming to you on the live stream, and let's see if we can get that resolved here. And Gordon Lee, and Robert, I was worrying with this. So
no, I'm very impressed with your multitasking. We rolled out to the left and had some defensive pressure and really threw it up into double coverage. The guy in the flats made a great play of coming back to the ball, went right through his hands and right through the wide receiver's hands, and honestly, very lucky that wasn't a touchdown for Gordon Lee. With a 4th and 5, Gordon Lee's going to elect to kick a field goal with 9 minutes and 43 seconds left, and I thought the play was whistled dead.
Yeah, let's see. And
that's good. We're seeing a signal for good. And Tyjay Watley came off the corner and then looked like he pulled up like he heard a whistle.
Yeah. So, all right, Gordon Lee goes up 10-7 on a field goal. We're going to send it back to WLAQ for a quick 30-second commercial break, and we will come back for more football on WLAQ. We're back. But we were still going through the live stream. All right, we're back here at Chris Hunter Stadium, ladies and gentlemen. Darlington is now trailing 10-7. And here's the kick. It's going to be a kick coming down to Ian Payne at the 20. Ian Payne running upfield, straight upfield. And excuse me, that's not Ian Payne. That's number 4, Colin Rogers. And, Robert, that's the best way to run that. You just run straight upfield.
It absolutely is, and that is their game plan of kicking it away from Ty.J. Wiley, and I can't blame them. So they're trying to get either a fair catch or for him to just run up and get what he can get, and that's what he could. And let's hope that the Darlington offense can pick up with that momentum where they left off in that last drive and use their power and their size to move down the field. Boy, it sure would be nice. We got 9 minutes and 35 seconds left to have a nice, long, sustained drive and put up 7 before the half.
Yeah, and because Darlington got the ball to start the first half, Gordon Lee would get the ball to start the second, so it would be nice to get some scoring here. All right, Griffin Brewster under center. He's got Ty.J. Wiley behind him along with Carl Swiger. Hand off to Ty.J. 40, Ty.J. 45. And, Robert, a great run. He just slipped right past a man and dove out to the 45-yard line, and it's going to be 2nd down and 1 from the 45.
Well, I thought that was a great zone blocking scheme by the line. They sealed everybody off, and then the key block on that was the slot back there on the end of the line of scrimmage that just had a good seal block on the outside linebacker and let Ty.J. get all those yards.
Griffin in a shotgun, hands it to Ty.J. Ty.J. 50, leaps over a man, and then he goes inside the 45 on the near side, Robert, down to the 41, and now we're seeing Ty.J. get into a rhythm.
We sure are, and he had some great vision making a cut back to the inside and then the outside, and you saw that hole open up with the outside or with the guy in the end of the line of scrimmage blocking out and the inside linebacker getting blocked in, and you also saw a lot of linemen down blocking on the second level with the linebackers.
Barrick Wade in motion, and Griffin Brewster fakes it.
Wide open.
Barrick Wade got a wide open man. Touchdown. Oh, wow. That was a great, great fake. And who is that?
That is Casey Gunn, the freshman.
All right.
And
Casey Gunn, the freshman.
He was wide open down the field, and Griffin did a great job of not getting excited about it, but just threw a nice catchable ball for him. And that was that double fake. So they faked it, that zone read up inside. They faked the sweep afterwards on the outside, almost like a waggle play, and Casey was wide open running down the sidelines.
43-yard touchdown pass, Brewster to Gunn, and now Little. Payne will hold. Here's the snap. The ball's down. It's up, and it is going to be good. So the Darlington Tigers now go back into the lead, 14-10. So with the break-in action on the field, 8:36 to play in the second quarter. We'll go back to WLAQ for another commercial break with the Big Kahuna, and then we'll be right back here at Chris Hunter Stadium. Don't go away. Back here at Chris Hunter Stadium, Alex Little, high end-over-end kick. It's going to come down to a man at the 8. He's running into the middle of the field, and he's trying to get some running room. Robert, just happy to see him running sideways. Flag on the field, and one of the Darlington players gets blindsided by one of the Gordon Lee players. And, Robert, that was Tucker Miller, the sophomore, and I guess that's inexperience, because what you really want to do when you get a kickoff is run straight up field.
Run straight upfield and get as much as you can. We'll see what that flag is.
There's actually 2 flags, and I'm wondering if they're going to get a personal foul on the Gordon Lee player who cold-cocked a Darlington player over there on the other side of the field. Let's see what they're going to call. This one over here may be a block in the back.
That's usually what they are on kickoffs. But, Steve, going back to that touchdown, that play-action pass, or what is called a waggle play is you'll fake the sweep to one side, and then you'll get all the defensive flow in there, and then what you're trying to get is the near side running back will try to weave his way through those linebackers and get wide open on the cross. That time Casey saw all the linebackers drop in there and then adjusted his pattern. Instead of going across the field, just went straight up in a seam and got himself wide open.
Yeah, the referees are over here talking to Coach Atha. And that's usually a sign there's some kind of personal foul, some unusual thing. The referee is giving us the signal now. There is a personal foul against Gordon Lee and a personal foul against Darlington. Those penalties will offset. And then there is another personal foul against Gordon Lee that will be assessed. And, Robert, I guess 2-1 wins. 2 penalties against Gordon Lee, 1 against Darlington. So it does look like they will assess 1 personal foul against Gordon Lee.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but as soon as Coach Atha got done talking with the officials, he marched right over to the sidelines and let somebody know how displeased he was with that play.
Yes, and this is now they're signaling it against Darlington, not Gordon Lee. So apparently there were offsetting fouls against Darlington and Gordon Lee. And now there is a penalty that will be assessed against Darlington and not Gordon Lee. And the Trojans will have the ball at the 36 and a half. And so now Coach Atha is talking to the referees again. But, this is where the referees need to get control of the game.
And I think that's what they're trying to do. But Coach Atha still has a lot of confusion on what's going on. And I don't think, at least in his mind, he hasn't been properly explained what happened and why the penalties are the way they are. And I don't think we know up here either.
We don't, but it's always going to be something like this against Gordon Lee.
Well,
there's just always something at Gordon Lee, whether the ghosts of Union and Confederate soldiers descending on the field up in Chickamauga or some chippy thing happens down here. It's not the first time we've seen it. All right, Thompson trying to get everybody squared away now for the Gordon Lee offense. Austin Thompson, the senior, he's the quarterback directing the offense. Jarvis to his right. Thompson back to throw. He's going to throw the ball down the far sideline. Overthrows his intended receiver by a pretty good margin. He didn't have anybody in his face.
No, he didn't, and he was looking at that receiver the whole time. There was a little bit of contact with the defensive back. I believe that's Casey Gunn again. And the receiver stopped running. I think he didn't think the ball would be thrown, and then when the ball was thrown, it was well overthrown.
All right, Darlington up 14-10. If you're just joining us at 8:22 to play here in the first half, we've got a lot we'll tell you at the halftime report about the first half, and also 10 college football records that will never be broken. Our halftime feature tonight on the Steak and Shake halftime report. Austin hands off to Jarvis, and Jarvis squirts up inside off the guard over there. He might have a couple of yards out to the 38, but it's going to leave Gordon Lee with a 3rd and long, Robert.
Jacob Hunt did a nice job of collapsing from the outside of the defensive line into that hole and swallowing up that play. Otherwise, I think he may have gone for 5 or 10 yards.
3rd down and about 8.5. The line to make for the Trojans is the 47-yard line of Darlington. 7:51 to play here in the first half. Tigers up 14-10. 3 wide outs to the near side, 1 to the far side. Thompson in a shotgun. Darlington bringing up extra men. Pressure. Thompson rolling to his left, and he is going to be smacked. And right there by number 22, Kellen Stepp. And Kellen Stepp stepped up there. There were people after him, and Thompson had nowhere to go, and it's going to be a loss of 3, and the Trojans will have to punt the football.
They were running a near side trips, and every time we have gotten into a obvious passing situation, Darlington has gone into a cover 0, which means that everyone is in man coverage with no safety help over the top, and that's eliminating that underbelly flat throw that they've been hitting earlier in the game.
High snap. Darlington trying to get to it. They miss it. Oh, good kick. Spiral. Going to hit it the 30 and roll out of bounds over here. And Robert, he was fortunate to get that ball off. That was Henry Ellis, the freshman. But he sure played that like a senior.
He sure did. He got that ball off quickly into a pretty good punt and got an unfortunate bounce for him out of bounds, but I think Darlington will take it.
Absolutely. Tigers now have a 1st and 10 from the 28-yard line. I'm very impressed with Henry Ellis, some of the stuff he's done. And, Robert, you know, we're looking at this Gordon Lee team. They're really struggling this year. But you look at all the freshmen on this team, and some of them contributing freshmen and sophomores in a couple of years. They're going to really have a good, solid team.
They are fighting hard. When you look at these two teams, Darlington is physically outmatching them just looking at with your eyeballs, but it's 10-14 and they're hanging in there and fighting and playing hard.
Griffin Brewster hands off to Tajay Watley, and it looked like a rugby scrum out there at the 30, and Tajay is dropped after a gain of about 2, and Darlington will have a 2nd down and about 8.
Well, we want to avoid plays like that. That time, Tajay Watley ran right into had no hole and ran right into our offensive lineman. So we need to do a better job up front of creating that hole and giving him a little bit of running room.
2 wideouts to this side, 1 to the far side. Tajay runs to the near side, planted his foot. Robert slipped and fell down, and the Tigers will now have a 3rd and long.
At that time, both the play side guard and tackles pulled, and the tight end stayed in block, but we pulled 2 interior linemen to try to get him outside. After being stuffed up the middle, I think Darlington's trying to just loosen up the outside to get Tajay's speed to their advantage.
3rd down and 8. The line to make is the 38-yard line. Tigers on the near hash mark. Beautiful fall evening for football down here at Chris Hunter Stadium. Griffin Brewster takes the snap. Looks downfield. He's going to throw a looping pass down the middle. It's Tajay Watley, 40, 35, 30, and he is going to be tackled inside the 30-yard line. Robert, he was just between 3 defenders. Perfect throw by Griffin Brewster to hit him in stride.
It was a great throw, and it was a great read. And pre-snap, he saw that now Gordon Lee went to that cover 0. They were man with no safety help over the front. And if you can get Tajay Watley one-on-one, I'll take that matchup with almost anybody in the state of Georgia. He ran a little seam. He gave a linebacker just a little stutter step, cut right inside and accelerated, and Griffin had him the whole way. Great execution, great job knowing where to put the ball and get out of that 3rd and long.
Great touch by Griffin Brewster. 1st and 10 for Darlington at the Trojan 27. Brewster hands off to Tajay Watley. Speed sweep. Tajay Watley cut it up inside, and he actually, it was a halfback run, but he cut it up like a speed sweep. Now a flag comes flying in. Gordon Lee players are clapping. And, boy, we're getting some chippiness down there and at Chris Hunter Stadium.
I'm not sure what happened, but that was 55 again. Caleb Vines, it lists him as a defensive or linebacker. He's been playing middle linebacker, and he's been making a lot of great plays, and that time he ran down Tajay Watley.
Yeah, I remember Caleb Vines from last year, and I'm glad he's a senior. I wish him the best. I hope whatever he does the rest of his life is a grand success, because we do not want to see him anymore, and that's a big 15-yard penalty against Darlington.
He is certainly making his name known and making a lot of good plays up the middle.
Yeah, we've seen him for about 3 years now, and I tell you, he's a great football player. We called his name out a lot last year, but Darlington now penalized 15 yards. It's a dead ball foul. So now the Tigers, now they just said 3rd down. I thought it was 2nd. The marker says 3rd. Griffin Brewster back to throw. He's looking downfield. Complete to Tajay Watley. 35, 30, 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown. Tajay Watley on a 41-yard touchdown pass. And he got him on a little crossing pattern, Robert. And Tajay just used his speed on the near side.
He sure did. He got him in space. Griffin did a great job of hitting him in stride, and once you can get separation with Tajay, and that's why he's going to the flats in Atlanta.
And they threw away from Caleb Vines. He was not over there. That's not his area of responsibility. So Darlington now 20 and Gordon Lee 10.
They're going to go for 2.
Yeah, they are. And
they're blowing it dead.
Yeah, they're blowing it dead. Jacob Hunt, Tinkerbell snapped it. And now I think Darlington's going to get called for, is it an illegal procedure? Let's see. They're going to call offside encroachment against Gordon Lee, and I guess, Robert, it's a dead ball foul. That's why they had to call it.
Yeah, I don't like that play, or I don't like that call. You know, Darlington will line up in that formation and look and see if they've got the matchups that they want. If they do, they'll snap it and they'll run that option just like they did. If not, they'll call everybody together and kick the field goal. But I'm confused.
Could be costly for Gordon Lee, because now Darlington, with a half the distance to the goal, 1.5 yards, Darlington's going to run for a 2-point play, and Tajay Watley will have it. He will get that. So 2-point play for Tajay Watley.
We've got another flag down.
Yeah, we do. And Tajay Watley gunning for the Honeymoon Bakery icing on the cake player of the game. He's already won it once, and he is motivated by the cakes and cookies, and even getting to watch them make the cakes. Over there at the Honeymoon Bakery on Broad Street. Now, let's see what the referee is going to call. It was good. The 2-point conversion was good.
I still don't know why they blew the first one dead. If it was encroachment, they still should let the play run.
Let's see. The referees are talking to Darlington. Personal foul against Gordon Lee. It will be assessed on the kickoff. So Alex Little, he's going to have a short field.
Yeah,
and Darlington up 22-10 now. And you know, Robert, some quirky things. Again, it's Gordon Lee.
Yeah, and he signaled, the referee signaled hitting to the head. So I think they're really trying to protect the players and call those penalties. That's the first time I've seen him signal that. I don't know if the other ones were that way as well.
Yeah, Alex Little will be kicking from the 45-yard line. He'll put it on the near hash, I believe. Darlington now extending the lead to 22-10. And, you know, Robert, this may be just what the Tigers need to just get some fire built up into them heading into that game with Bowden next week.
It's certainly the tale of two quarters so far. I don't know, maybe the pregame meal was sitting heavy in the first quarter, but this is a different Darlington team we've seen in the second quarter.
All right, Alex Little. And Alex Little, he's going to kick it through the end zone, through the goal posts. Don't get points for that.
No, but that'll pin them back. Darlington's still got 2 timeouts. We've got 4 minutes and 44 seconds. It is not unrealistic to think that we could get the ball back and have another shot at the end zone before halftime.
All right, we just got a score from WLAQ, and Bowden has 6 points, but I couldn't hear who they're playing. Tryon 7, Bowden 6. So Bowden in a dogfight, if you will, with the Bulldogs down there. Darlington going down to Bowden next week, which is always an interesting adventure. Thompson throws it complete to a man who bobbled it out here. That's Jarvis. Robert, he reached out with one hand, bobbled it, then grabbed it. And by the time he got the ball and got some steam to turn up field, there wasn't a whole lot of time there. Darlington closed down, and it's going to be a loss of about a half a yard.
I believe that was Carl Swiger. He was closing in fast on that bobble play.
Yeah, Carl Swiger, he is just an outstanding young man, but an outstanding football player, too. We'll miss him next year. He's a senior.
He is running around the field and making all sorts of plays, lined up at both fullback and here an outside linebacker.
Thompson, a shotgun, second down and a 10.5. He's going to throw the ball over the head of his intended receiver, Henry Ellis. Darlington had 3 defenders around him, including Roth Wilcox, Carl Swiger, and Rhett McDermott. And then now it's going to be third down and about 12 for the Gordon Lee Trojans. They now trail 22-10. And Robert, if Darlington can get the ball back here and make some hay, the Tigers could go into halftime sitting pretty pretty good.
Yeah, and that was a really good example of three-deep defense that Coach Hunt would like to see again. You had Roth backing up and taking the deep route, and they ran a post coverage there. And then what the quarterback was trying to throw was this little curl inside, and Carl Swiger dropped perfectly underneath that, and the quarterback threw it over the head of the receiver. And I apologize, I don't have his number, but if he threw a catchable ball, Carl Swiger was picking that and walking into the end zone. So that was a good throwaway by Gordon Lee.
2 wideouts to the near side. Jarvis in the slot. And I would be looking for Jarvis. Braden Jarvis, he's another one that I wish well in his postgraduate endeavors. I'm just thankful we're not going to have to see him again because he has tormented us over the years.
You've got to keep an eye on him. He is fast.
All right, Thompson in a shotgun formation. 3rd down and about 12 for Gordon Lee. The line to make is the 30.5-yard line. Thompson being chased. He's looking downfield. Got a man, grabs him from behind, but he throws the ball downfield.
Nice.
Intercepted by Darlington at the 41-yard line of the Tigers. And the interceptor is immediately tackled. Let's see who that is.
I think that's Casey Gunn.
It sure is. Casey
he's having
Gunn.
A great game.
He is, and he's gunning for the Honeymoon Bakery icing on the cake player of the game. Casey Gunn with a touchdown pass, good defensive play, and now an interception. So the Honeymoon Bakery icing on the cake player of the game, Casey Gunn in contention.
And you could see as soon as that ball was in the air, it was slightly underthrown. Casey stopped and then now was just playing center field and coming back. And that was a pretty good jump ball, and he took it.
Ball on the far hash mark. Griffin Brewster in a shotgun formation. 2 wideouts to the near side, 1 to the far side. Gordon Lee bringing up extra men, complete to Ian Payne on a bubble screen out here. Ian Payne is going to get close to midfield before he's run out of bounds here on the near sideline. And now Darlington will chip away for gain of 4.
I think that's a bad spot. I thought he had it up at the midfield, but that was a good job of Ian getting out of bounds and stopping the clock with 4 minutes and 17 seconds left. Darlington's got 2 timeouts at midfield. I think there's no need to rush or anything there. We can plenty of time on the clock.
4:17 to play, so we're in good shape here. Tigers up 22-10 if you're just joining us here in the second quarter. Pitch back to Tajay Watley. Tajay Watley had a man shoot up in the gap and grabbed him as he came through the line of scrimmage. He's only going to have position. That is just critical just to get confidence.
Well, it surprises me to know that he's a sophomore playing in his 4th game. He has got a great command of the team, of the offensive line, of the running backs, of the huddle, and of the game. He's not excited out there. He's not making mental mistakes. He is a calm, confident quarterback and seems very comfortable out there.
Yeah, and timeout on the field. And let's do a quick 30-second break with WLAQ, and we'll come back for Darlington's 3rd down play. Don't go away. Back at Chris Hunter Stadium, ladies and gentlemen, Steak and Shake. My mouth is watering, and it will be the Steak and Shake halftime report tonight at Chris Hunter Stadium. Stay with us because we will be going through the stats of the first half as well as our trivia college football records that will never be broken. Griffin Brewster takes a snap, looking downfield, has pressure, rolling to his right. He's going to throw the ball, I believe, complete to a man who was coming back.
Oh, they're going to give it to him. They're going to say he caught it.
Boy, he did. Who is it?
That was Casey Gunn.
Casey Gunn. Gunning for that Honeymoon Bakery icing on the cake player of the game, and it was a great comeback, Robert.
It was, and it was a great job of looking off Tajay Watley. He lined up in the slot, and they were in a man coverage, but this time they shifted the safety over to double team him, and Tajay was trying to run that same seam as he did before, but it wasn't there. Griffin did a great job of checking off to him and then coming down to Casey.
Griffin Brewster, the sophomore, Honeymoon Bakery icing on the cake player of the game. Last week, he takes the handoff. He hands it off to Tajay Wiley. And Tajay is going to try to get to the far sideline and turn the corner. Doesn't get the corner, but he does gain about 3. And that time, Griffin just handed him the ball in the halfback spot and let him go second down, 7.
They did, and Tajay was trying to string it out to the sidelines. That defensive back, Hunter Hodson, kind of slowed him up, and then our good friend Caleb Vines came in there to make the tackle.
We've never had an opposing player, the Honeymoon Bakery icing on the cake player of the game, but Caleb Vines certainly would be a candidate. Griffin Brewster takes a snap, looks downfield, complete to Ian Payne right there in the middle of the field on a seam, Robert, and he's going to be down at the 26-yard line, make it the 25, 1st and 10 for Darlington.
That was a great read and a good throw. It looked like it was a sit-down route that the slot back just kind of settled in between the linebackers, and Griffin was able to find him in a real quick hitting. And the best thing about that, as soon as Ian got his hands on the ball, tucked it and turned upfield and run. We talked about on that kickoff of running laterally. That time Ian just went right up the field and gained a good gump of yards.
Shotgun formation, handoff to Tajay. Tajay eludes a tackler. 15, 10, 5, and he is going to be wrestled down. Well, he's at the 10. 15 down to the 10, and he was wrestled down by about 3 white jerseys there. And so Darlington is in good shape here with 1:40 to play in the first half. Tigers up 22-10, 1st and 10 at the 11 of Gordon Lee.
Boy, that was a great run. Love to see a replay and see how many tackles he broke. I think it was 5 or 6, but that was an excellent run by Tajay.
Pistol back, Carl Swiger. Griffin hands it off to Carl Swiger. Carl Swiger, touchdown! Oh, what a great play off the left side of the line. And he is running over there behind Cesaro and Rogers. And that is going to be an 11-yard touchdown run by Carl Swiger. Carl Swiger gunning for the Honeymoon Bakery. Icing on the cake player of the game. Tigers lead is now 28-10.
And that was great vision running by Carl as he took a half a step to the lateral step to the outside to get right in between the tackle and the tight end and then cut it right back up into the middle. That was a good bit of vision and running from Carl.
Tinkerbell to snap to Payne. Little for the point after. Great snag by Payne, and that ball is going to be good. And Robert, like you say, the snapper and the holder make such a difference on points after.
Well, and the kicker's got to finish it off, and right now all 3 of them are working well together.
All right, 1:17 to play here in the first half. 30-second break to WLAQ, and then we'll be right back for the rest of the first half. Don't go away. Back here at Chris Hunter Stadium, and Elizabeth is right. Ware Mechanical. Boy, they are great. If you ever have a problem, you call Ware Mechanical. They'll get you taken care of. Alex Little with the ball on the near hash mark will be kicking off to Gordon Lee. The Tigers have exploded and busted the game open here in the second quarter. Little approaching the ball. Toe meets leather. It's a sideways kick. It's fielded at the 5, and the man runs straight up field, and that is Jarvis. Whew.
I wasn't sure we were going to get him for a minute.
No, he just is fast, and he just runs upfield. He doesn't dilly-dally around. He just took that ball, and it was a knuckleball.
Well, that was not Little's best kick. That was a low line driver that got to Jarvis quicker than we would have liked. We'd like to have a little bit of air under the ball and have your teammates get to him about the same time the ball does. 3
wide outs to this side. Thompson, he pulls the ball down, and he's running for the far sideline. He runs out of bounds. That was a great play, Robert, by Austin Thompson. He looked downfield, didn't have anybody escaped the rush and then got out of bounds after a good gain.
Well, Rhett McDermott was on a blitz from the far side on a fire off the corner, and he needs to slow down before he gets to the quarterback and kind of drop his level because the quarterback gave him a head fake and ran right by him.
2 wideouts to the far side, 2 to the near side. Thompson being flushed to his right. He's looking downfield, almost across the line of scrimmage, throws the ball incomplete. And number 24, Tucker Miller, he drops the ball. I thought he had it.
I thought he had it too. I think he dropped it. And the same thing happened on that, Steve. We had a double blitz, so a 2 fire from the outside linebackers, and that time we lost contain to let the quarterback slip outside. So when they blitz, they need to run to the upfield shoulder of the quarterback to keep him inside that pocket.
All right, Jarvis.
There's a flag for holding.
Yeah, he is on a run out here, and now he tackles. Man has tackled Jarvis on a option play. I think he was tackled just as he was going out of bounds. But there is a holdout here, and Gordon Lee's about to be penalized with 52 seconds left.
Yeah, Jarvis a little slow getting off the sidelines. That I would not have been surprised if they threw a flag for a late hit on that. That was close.
Yeah, the referee coming from down the field, he had his flag in, and he certainly could have thrown it, but he chose not to. But I'm like you. I thought, well, that's a little close.
It's close. But I'm glad to see Jarvis is up and okay.
All right. The ball moved back to the 35-yard line of Gordon Lee. The line to make for a first down is the 43-yard line of Darlington. So we got 22 yards. All right, here we go. Thompson back to throw. Throws the ball. Complete to Derryberry over on the far sideline, and he's going to be out to about the 47, 48. So it'll be 3rd down and 9.
Yeah, and I think we got away with a holding penalty on that as Tommy Atha almost tackled the slot receiver as he made his cut. He put a big hit on him downfield.
3rd down and a manageable 9 for Gordon Lee. You compare it to where they were. Austin Thompson, I'm impressed with him too. Glad to see him graduating this year. Complete to a man out here at the midfield, 45, and he tiptoes down the near sideline. And Robert, he is... I thought he had a first down, but it definitely will be a first down now. Roth Wilcox.
he did. Roth body slammed him out of bounds. That was not close.
Yeah, Roth Wilcox committing a personal foul. And Darlington will be penalized again. I think that's Darlington's 3rd personal foul tonight.
It is, and you know what the bigger deal is? Gordon Lee's done a nice job getting out of bounds on 2 plays in a row. They are now inside the 30 with 36 seconds left to go.
All right, now executive producer Gina tells us that is six personal fouls total tonight.
Wow.
For both teams. This is Gordon Lee we're playing. It's Gordon Lee. It happens.
That is certainly something to be addressed at halftime.
Austin Thompson, a shotgun, looks to his right. That ball's been knocked up in the air.
That's a great job.
Tinkerbell grabs it. Holy cow.
That was a jump ball, and he came out of nowhere to get it.
He did, and that thwarts the Gordon Lee drive here with 30 seconds left. And Robert, again, that's just linemen
that was
flying
a huge,
in there.
I don't know if they had a stunt or some sort of twist on there, but we had 2 free defensive linemen running for that ball, and once the ball was up in the air,
I don't know who
Jacob
got
Hunt
it.
made a great play to go grab that ball.
Boy, he leaped up in the air.
And he took it from some folks.
And, you know, he's so tall and so big, and Gordon Lee, they're fighters, but they're just not real big. And he snagged that ball. Interception. Darlington has the ball at their own 43. 1st and 10. 30 seconds left. Griffin Brewster. Gun complete to the 43. Gun trying to get running room, and he is going to be grabbed over here on the near sideline by
and we've got another flag coming in from the linesman back there.
Yeah, our buddy Caleb Vines over here, as well as Tucker Underwood.
Well, Casey turned up to try to get more yards. What he needs to do in that situation is realize that it's not there and get out of bounds as soon as possible.
All right, illegal block in the back against Darlington, and these referees will need to launder their flags tonight, Robert, because they have been all over the ground.
Well, and it's not them, it's just sloppy football. But that certainly hurts as we got 23 seconds left to go. We're now inside our own 40. It's kind of a limited playbook. We still got one timeout, but with the clock running, it's getting more difficult.
Griffin Brewster hands the ball off, or fakes it to Carl Swiger. Griffin Brewster runs down the line. He's going to be tackled at about the line of scrimmage.
And I think that'll do it for the half.
And that should do it. The clock is running, and that's going to be the end of the first half. So Darlington going into the half up 29 to 10, excuse me. The Tigers exploding in the second quarter to break this game open. We're going to send it back to WLAQ for the Steak and Shake halftime report to begin. Stay with us. When we come back, we'll talk about the first half, and then later on our halftime feature tonight, 10 college football records that will never be broken, and some nice trivia. So Darlington 29, Gordon Lee 10 at the half. Thank you, Randy. And we are at Chris Hunter Stadium, Jerry Sharp Field at Chris Hunter Stadium. Smiling fans, if you're on the Tiger side tonight, Darlington 29 and Gordon Lee 10 at the half. And glad to have Robert Hortman with me tonight, and a budding football star, West Hortman, is up here with us tonight. So in about 12, 13 years, you Darlington fans from around the world, just remember West Hortman, who will be out on the field at Chris Hunter Stadium. All right, let's go through, Robert, the halftime statistics. Darlington up 29-10. Tajay Watley unofficially with 172 all-purpose yards in the first half. The Georgia Tech commit really has looked sharp tonight on both sides of the football.
He has. He's let his speed show most of the time, and then we had one run that he scored his touchdown that he really showed his power and his strength come through. He's having a great game.
And talking of great games, Griffin Brewster's 8 for 9 on passing. Just has really had a great game. 21 rushes for Darlington tonight, and but Griffin Brewster 8 for 9, 9 first downs for the Tigers, and Griffin has looked great. Gordon Lee 5 possessions, 13 rushes, 7 for 18 passing, and Austin Thompson really has looked better than that. He's had some balls dropped by some of his young receivers. It is a very, very young Gordon Lee team, ladies and gentlemen. In a couple of years, Gordon Lee's really going to look good, but thankfully we will not have Caleb Vines to torment us from his defensive spot. Boy, Caleb Vines really playing an outstanding game.
Gordon Lee's playing hard. Gordon Lee is playing hard football. And before we get too far away from it, we're talking about Griffin Brewster. What's not going to come through on the stat line is his poise. I think he is showing incredible poise, and he's got to be – the coaching staff's got to be really pleased with how he's playing. I think he's having a fantastic game.
And, you know, Robert, when you consider that he had never started a game until Gaston, and really that game against Ridgeland, he had people all over him all night, and has come back really, really done well, and he's a good boy, and he's doing a great job, and very proud of Griffin.
He's doing a fantastic job of being a leader back there, and I think it's going to be important as we go to the second half. We'll talk about the penalties in a minute, but it is getting very chippy, and one thing that Darlington's going to have to do, and he's going to be a leading part of it, is to keep everybody's heads together and not penalize the team and lose out on drives that we shouldn't be losing out on.
Yeah, and one thing to point out, too, Griffin had an interception he threw on the first possession. Darlington had that tipped ball, and yet he shook that off. And
doesn't seem to be affecting him at all, which is great.
That's what you got to do. You know, what you never know when you have a young quarterback especially is how are they going to handle some of the things that happen that don't go right.
Right.
And so he's done real well. Let's talk about the scoring before we talk about the penalties. Gordon Lee got the scoring going on a 9-yard touchdown pass from Thompson to Miller. Laster put up the point. Gordon Lee was up 7-0 after they converted points on the turnover and a short field. But Darlington marched back down the field with a 5-yard touchdown pass from Brewster to Hunt. Jacob Hunt running and jumping up in the middle, and he's a man among boys out there. Tinkerbell, he did great. Little put up the point, and the Tigers were tied the game at 7. Then Gordon Lee on a great drive with a couple of fourth down conversions, came back down the field. They had to kick a 31-yard field goal by Laster. He put it straight through. Very impressed with Laster's kicking, and Darlington was trailing 10-7. But on a 43-yard touchdown pass from Griffin Brewster to Gunn, and Little put up the point, but the Tigers went up 14-10, and from that point on, it's been all Darlington. A 42-yard touchdown pass from Brewster to Watley, and Watley ran in a 2-point conversion. Tajay having a big night down here in the first half, and then Carl Swiger on an 11-yard touchdown run late in the second quarter, and Little put up the point. Tigers are up 29-10 at the half. Darlington got 2 interceptions and threw 1 interception. Both teams have 1 sack. Darlington then this is something Coach Atha will probably talk about a lot. 6 penalties for 65 yards. And he may be saying something similar to what Kirby Smart said after all the face mask penalties Georgia had at Notre Dame last year. He said, well, I guess one of them got a face mask penalty, and the other said, well, I want one too. And maybe Coach Atha is saying somebody got a personal foul and said, well, I want one too.
And those are tough to stomach from a coaching standpoint because they're not they're just mental mistakes, and those shouldn't happen. I know they're going to eliminate that.
All right, and then Gordon Lee with 3 penalties for 27 yards. The referees have had a time getting some of this chippiness out of the system of the players. And, the thing, Robert, that really is an issue if you're talking about chippiness is what the referees aren't seeing.
That's true. And we're not sure exactly what they're calling up here or what exactly the circumstances are. But I know the refs are looking at this very tightly, and I think we may see even more in the second half of them just wanting to remain control. And I think right now the coaches are talking to their teams because they don't want 15-yard penalties are a big deal, and none of them want those penalties against their team.
Yeah, and the other thing is neither of these teams has a lot of depth. And personal fouls, those are the kinds of things that can get people injured. There's just so many reasons why you don't want the personal foul. So both teams will be talking about that. Darlington finally getting some offensive rhythm. We talked about this before the game started, but the Tigers only scoring 19 points a game, and 50 points came in one game. And so this is a good opportunity for Darlington to get some offensive rhythm, get some confidence.
I think in the second quarter you saw a lot of that rhythm start coming back. I still think there is another gear for this Darlington offense that we're not seeing yet. We're keep kind of stopping ourselves on drives, and it's just little bitty execution things that aren't necessarily going the Tigers' way that's stopping them from really opening this thing open. And hopefully we see that in the second half.
All right, Darlington up 29-10. Steak and Shake halftime report. We'll send it back to WLAQ for a commercial break. And stay with us. We're going to do a little football trivia. College football records that will probably never be broken, and you'll really be surprised at some of those. We'll be right back after these messages. Back at Jerry Sharp Field at Chris Hunter Stadium, the Gordon Lee band, who has entertained the fans tonight, they are leaving the field, and halftime continues down at Chris Hunter Stadium. Darlington fans with something to smile about. Tigers up 29-10 at the half, and we said we would talk a little bit about college football. Instead of talking about future games that are coming up, we're going to talk a little bit of trivia. Robert, 10 college football records that will probably never be broken, and it runs the gamut from individual excellence, team excellence, and some of these are really interesting things.
They certainly are. I was not aware of some of these, and you're right. You almost want to never say never nowadays with it, people just keep breaking records and breaking records, but a lot of these do look really unattainable.
You know, I look at this one, average rushing yards per game by a team. Back in 1971, Oklahoma averaged 472 yards rushing per game.
That's hard to imagine. If you're running maybe Georgia Tech or Navy or somebody with that kind of option-centric offense that can run the ball in large chunks, but running the ball, you're going to run the clock down, and the game gets a lot shorter. And to do that over a season, 472 yards is impressive.
You know, the thing I remember about that team, and I do remember, that shows you how old I am, but the 1971 game of the century, if you will, Nebraska was number one, went down to play Oklahoma on Thanksgiving Day. Oklahoma only had 279 yards rushing that day.
Only there, yeah.
And lost. But what I remember most about that game, Johnny Rogers on a punt return, which essentially sealed the Heisman Trophy for him. But, boy, that was a great Oklahoma team that year, running the ball for 472 yards per game.
That's impressive.
Not long ago, John Reed, the former quarterback at the University of Florida, and it was Carlos Alvarez. Great passing game, but John Reeves never was happy about the fact that he had the next record that we're going to talk about.
That's right. 9 interceptions in a game. That I would think you'd get pulled before you got even close to that.
Yeah, you try to get your brain around it, but Florida had gone down to Auburn, and Florida was 6-0. Reeves was just great. He attempted 66 passes and completed 9 of them to Auburn, but 9 interceptions in a game. And even with the pass-happy offenses today, it's hard to imagine that particular record will ever fall.
You think at that point you just stop throwing the ball, or you put in a backup or something. I wasn't there for that game, so I don't know all the circumstances involved with it. But yeah, that one, unfortunately for John, that one might stand a while.
And you know, that was the only loss that Florida had that season. They went 9-1-1. Reeves had a great season. Carlos Alvarez injured his knee later and never really played at the same level he did that year, but they were 2 sophomores. They were great, and boy, they were just passing long before pass-happy offenses were in vogue. You know, I look at this one too here. I try to get my brain around this, but this will never be broken either. 17 rushing yards per game given up by Penn State. Now, I mean, think about it. An entire season, and you give up 17 rushing yards per game.
And that was in 1947 when a lot of the offenses were rushing-based. So it was a rushing play almost all the time. That is really impressive.
You know, and you look at this, the average yard per carry against Penn State that year was 0.6 yards.
That is domination up front.
Yeah, they played Syracuse, and if I remember correctly, Syracuse had minus 46 total yards for the game that year. But talk about defense. That is amazing. We're talking college football records that will probably never fall. Average rushing yards per game, 472 yards by Oklahoma. 9 interceptions thrown by John Reeves in one game against Auburn. Florida's John Reeves in 1969, and 17 rushing yards allowed per game by Penn State in 1947. They gave up only 153 rushing yards the entire season in 9 games. But here's an interesting one, too. We'll go back to offense. Georgia Tech had 650 total yards against Tennessee. But in 1989 Houston averaged 625 yards per game.
Well, I think Andre Ware also owns the record for the most passing yards in one half at 517. So
same year.
He's a big part of that, and that is with all of the spread offensive, pass-happy offenses that we see today. I think that might be a safe record. You may see an offense every once in a while put up that kind of number one game, but to do that sustained over a season is something very, very special.
You know, Andre Ware won the Heisman Trophy that year. He was an outstanding player, and they put up some unbelievable numbers that year. And but that record probably will never be broken, too. You just have to imagine when Paul Johnson was talking about the number of yards Tech had against Tennessee, which essentially was about 650 total yards, that you have to do that every game.
Every game.
Every single game, which is amazing. Amazing. All right, the last one we'll talk about is halftime starting to come to an end, but this will probably never be broken either. Oklahoma had a 47-game winning streak, and it began in 1953 and ended in 1957. And you try to get your brain around that, but during that streak, Oklahoma outscored its foes an average score of 34-6 and held 35 of their opponents to single digits and shut out 22.
That's UConn women's basketball level.
Yeah,
that is that kind of domination.
Yeah, and you know the interesting thing too is that Oklahoma under Bud Wilkinson had a 31-game winning streak earlier, in which the streak was broken by Bear Bryant's Kentucky team in the Sugar Bowl, January 1st, 1951. So with the time that Bud Wilkinson was coaching at Oklahoma, you just imagine this. He had a 31-game winning streak and a 47-game winning streak. For a team to do that today with the number of games that they play, that would basically be 3 years
and good,
totally undefeated.
And good for them. I like to see the parity. I like to see a little bit more of an even matched. But wow, that is impressive to say the least.
And you know, the other irony of it is the team that beat Oklahoma before they started their winning streak was Notre Dame. The team that beat them to end their winning streak was Notre Dame.
How about that?
Yeah. So college football records that will never be broken. If you're a football fan, you just feast on this kind of stuff. And Robert and I are football fans, and we love this kind of stuff. We'll have more trivia like that as we go through the season. But right now, let's bring us back to reality. Darlington up 29-10 at the half. Halftime winding down. The teams are coming out on the field. We're going to send it back to WLAQ for a quick 30-second break, and we'll come back for the kickoff. Don't go away. All right, toe meets leather. Little kicks a high end-over-end kick, comes down to a man at the 18. He drops the ball. He picks it up. Now he's running down the sideline. And Robert, boy, that was just another one of those strange plays. But Tucker Miller, the sophomore, he dropped the ball initially. Then he picked it up and gets good yardage out to about the 45-yard line. Let's see where they're going to mark it. They're actually going to mark it in Darlington territory at the 48.
That is not at all what you want to see coming out of the locker room. We had him wrapped up 4 or 5 times, and he just, great credit to him, kept running, and the Tigers team just kind of thought the play was over.
And in a couple of years, we'll probably be wishing him well like we are Caleb Vines, just as long as we don't have to see him again. Thompson under center, hands off to Jarvis. Jarvis right through the middle line. Dart at 30, 25, 10, 5, touchdown. And Braden Jarvis and Powell, lightning strikes. And that's going to be a 48-yard touchdown run by Braden Jarvis. First play of the second half. And Robert,
that really exactly silenced the Darlington sidelines in the stands. You're right. That is exactly what we don't want coming out there. Another trap play right up the middle. Great blocking by the Gordon Lee offensive line, and Darlington looks like they're still in the locker room.
Yeah, Laster in for the point after. That happened in a hurry, and the holder, boy, he took that ball as it bounced to him, Robert. And I think that was number 14, Hunter Hodson, and that point gets put up, Jarrett Laster, and that happened before we really got ourselves situated here.
Well, and that's the underrated part about that long snapper holder exchange, that holder gets the ball no matter how it comes back. He's expected to put it on the tee nice for the kicker, and he did a great job with that. But certainly Gordon Lee coming out of the blocks firing, and we talk about these players from Gordon Lee that we don't want to hear anymore. They're just hard-nosed football players, and they're out here playing hard.
They are. They really are. And we do want to give a shout-out to Dalton Stinson's Aunt Angie. Aunt Angie, listening in Ocean Shores, Washington. And I know you're very proud of Dalton. Aunt Angie, we're glad to be able to say hello to you and glad you listen to Tiger football and watch the live stream. Dalton's doing a great job. A fine young man. He's a senior. And we're glad to shout out to Aunt Angie and hope you enjoy Darlington football on WLAQ and on the live stream. Laster has teed up the ball. He will be kicking the ball to Tajay Watley, and it's going to be a high end-over-end kick going to come down to Tajay at the 13. Tajay weaving his way through traffic, and he's going to be tackled on the near hash mark at about the 38-yard line.
And we've got another penalty thrown at the 31. I didn't catch what happened, but Tajay used some nice vision to kind of weave through the line. Coach Atha looks dejected on the line, on the sideline, so I think it was against Darlington, a hold.
Blocking the back. So that'll be 10 yards that will negate a part of a nice run by Tajay Watley. And let's see, Robert. Long kickoff return. First play from scrimmage is a touchdown. And now Darlington's gotten penalized. So 3 plays don't.
This could not be going any better for Gordon Lee.
Yeah. Gordon Lee now trailing 29-17. If you're just joining us, Tigers are up 29-10 at the half, feeling pretty good. And all of a sudden, a lot of energy on the Trojan sideline. They are getting a lot of people up in the box. Tajay Watley tries to hurdle over a man at the line of scrimmage, and he's going to be knocked down right there. And right now it looks like Gordon Lee's going to say, let's sell out on the pass and make sure that we stop the run.
Well, they did a good job of clogging the hole there on the right side of the line. They had a defensive tackle kind of hit the ground and clog the hole, and as soon as Tajay jumped through, I don't have to tell you who it was filling that hole and making that tackle.
Yeah, good old Caleb Vines. Wish him well after tonight's game. Griffin Brewster hands off to Tajay. Tajay running room 30, and he is going to get out close to the first down marker. I think he does have it.
I think he's got it up at the 34.
He burst through that line in a hurry, Robert.
He did. He bust through the line without getting a whole lot of hands on him and hit the linebacker. Did a great job keeping legs moving to get the first down.
1st and 10 for Darlington at the 33-yard line on the near hash mark. Tigers going left to right on your radio dial toward the A.J. Huffman Memorial Athletic Center. And Gordon Lee trying to get back into this football game, and they've done a good job with a touchdown here in the third quarter. Griffin Brewster complete to Gun. He eludes one tackler, and then he finally gets brought down by Jackson Moore, the freshman. A lot of freshmen out there on the field for Gordon Lee, but a nice pickup of 4.
Wait, is Casey Gunn really a freshman? He is not playing like it. If he really is a freshman, Darlington fans ought to be excited for the next 4 years because he is having a heck of a game.
He really is. Honeymoon Bakery icing on the cake player candidate, Casey Gunn. Griffin Brewster in a shotgun. Hands off to Carl Swiger. Not much running room right there in the middle of the line. And Tate Ratledge got away with one.
Yep.
Over on Cordell Langford. And, boy, I thought for just a minute that was not going to turn out well for Darlington.
There was a lot of extracurricular activity after the play, and the referee was eyeing all of it, and I thought he was going to throw a flag.
Gain of 1, and now it's going to be a 3rd down and about 5 for Darlington. The ball's on the 38. The line to make is the 43-yard line of the Tigers, and Tucker Underwood goes off.
Looks like an equipment timeout with Austin Crowley coming in to replace him. It looks like they're working on his face mask.
Tucker and Caleb Vines, they've been all over the field tonight. Griffin Brewster complete. Oh, in and out of the hands of Gunn over here on the sideline, and he made a great turn, Robert, and just couldn't hold on to the ball.
That was a little quick out, and that would have given them a first down. I think he's going to want that play back. He'll make that 9 times out of 10.
Tate Ratledge, the punter for Darlington. He is in punt formation, first punt of the evening for the Tigers. Darlington up 29-17 here in the third quarter, but Gordon Lee making some noise. High snap, Ratledge gets it. High kick, nice spiral, lazy, lands at the 30. It's going to just kind of die right there.
Yeah.
Kind of an odd thing, Robert. It was a nice high kick, but it hit the ground and looks like it just lost all the air in the ball.
It sure did. You don't see a whole lot of offensive linemen, defensive tackles than fill in as the punter.
Yeah, he is such a good athlete, a sophomore. Tate Ratledge, he's a special one.
He's going to be a good one to watch, and I have a feeling Gordon Lee's going to be wishing he would graduate sooner and wish him well on his way.
Absolutely. Hope he'll be an early graduate and go somewhere else. All right, Austin Thompson under center. Robert, interestingly, they ran out of the shotgun almost all the first half. I formation, man in motion, left to right, quick pitch to Jarvis. Jarvis trying to get to the sideline. Darlington had a man who almost tackled him in the backfield, and Jarvis still got out to about the 33-yard line, but it forced him to run a little wider than he wanted to run, Robert.
Yeah, and that was Tommy Athan. He's going to want that play back as well. He dove and left his feet and had him for a 5-yard loss. And it looks clear coming out of the locker room that Gordon Lee's going to try to spread Darlington out. They came out with 2 wide splits with a slot back on the near side, and they're trying to speed it to the sidelines.
And Braden Jarvis, he's another good one. Thompson in a shotgun formation now. Jarvis behind him. Now he comes back, gets under center, wide out to either side. 4-down lineman for Darlington. Thompson with the ball rolling to his right. Just puts a little speed out there, Robert, and he's going to run out of bounds at about the 36-yard line, and that will leave Gordon Lee with a 3rd down and about 4.
Well, Darlington needs to make an adjustment off of the end of our defensive left. When they rush the quarterback, they've got to rush to his upfield shoulder. And what I mean by that is they have to pin him inside, and so running up the field in front of him and not running to his downfield shoulder and letting him bounce outside. He's made 3 great plays to pick up first down by running it outside to his right. We got to stop that.
Thompson in a shotgun formation. Jarvis to his left. Thompson with pressure on him. Tate Ratledge hanging on to him. He tosses the ball incomplete into traffic, and that was Derryberry. The senior couldn't quite hang on to it, Robert, and there was a lot of guys fighting for that football. And Darlington has forced a 4th down on Gordon Lee.
Tate Ratledge did a great job of applying pressure, and Carl Swigert was all over with the coverage, making a much tougher throw of the quarterback having to throw back to the inside.
Defensive pressure, penetration always helps.
Oh, we had the block on, and they got it.
Yeah.
They got it. Now we need to turn around and get the.
Yeah, and it partially blocked. But Gordon Lee got a good roll on it.
They got a great roll on it, and I thought it was going to hit some of our players and cause a huge mess.
Yeah, but again, that's a freshman punting for Gordon Lee, and boy, he did a great job.
He did a nice job getting it off.
He sure did. A lot of poise by some of these freshmen on both sides of the ball. Casey Gunn for Darlington, and then the freshman that we've called out for Gordon Lee tonight. And they've got a lot of great players on their bench, and coming up, they're going to have a good team in a couple of years.
They sure will. And all that game experience is just going to continue to pay dividends for them.
Ball on the far hash mark, 1st and 10 for Darlington at the Darlington 38-yard line. 2 wide outs to the near side. Hand off to Tajay Wiley. Cuts it upfield. Tajay, 45. Tajay almost out to the midfield stripe. They're going to put him down at the 49. But, Robert, that was just an acceleration right through that hole.
It was, and that play was made by Jacob Hunt. He was lining up as the near side tight end, and he turned that defensive tackle and just mowed him down the line. And, look, he's going to do it again on this play.
Yeah, Tajay Watley on a quick count, no huddle, and he's going to cross the midfield stripe, and that's going to be a gain of about 1.5 or 2. We're going to give it a 2nd down and a long 8 for Darlington. And the Tigers up 29-17, 8 minutes to play in the 3rd quarter.
That time the outside linebackers came up and filled that hole. It looks like we're going to get an offside penalty here.
Yeah, encroachment by Gordon Lee. And Darlington will pick up an easy 5. So they did that to us. We'll do that to them. And even it out.
And that really changes your play calling mindset on 2nd down. On 2nd and 8, you're really thinking about a run play to try to make 3rd and long not so manageable. But now with the 3rd and 3 or 2nd and 3, you might see a pass play to air it out towards the end zone, and it'll still leave us with a 3rd and 3, which is very manageable.
Tinkerbell comes off the field. 2 wide outs to this side, 1 to the far side. Griffin Brewster with the snap, rolling to his right, looking downfield, complete to Gunn. Gunn is knocked backwards immediately, but he held on to the ball. And some of the freshmen on both sides of the ball, Robert, both sides of the field are doing some great grown-up men plays.
Well, and Casey did a great job of holding on to that ball because McCain Barbie was coming in fast. And I know he could hear footsteps, but he did a great job of concentrating on catching the football, securing it, and then taking the hit and getting the 1st down.
All right, 1st and 10 for Darlington at the 37.5-yard line. Griffin Brewster fakes it up the middle and down to a sweep, and he's throwing downfield. Touchdown. And that is going to be a 37-yard touchdown from Griffin Brewster. And is that number 9?
That was Ezra Barnett.
Yeah, Ezra Barnett.
And, boy, that was a pretty pass by Griffin. Jacob Hunt lined up in the slot back side here and was running a drag, almost looked like a little bit of a waggle route across the field, and he was wide open. I thought he was going to hit him, but he turned and hit Ezra. Beautiful touch on that ball, getting the tip of that ball down and hit him in stride for the touchdown. Great pass.
All right, Tinkerbell will snap to Ian Payne. Little to put up the point. The ball's down. It's up. It is good. So, with 7:07 to play here in the 3rd quarter, Darlington has matched the touchdown Gordon Lee got to start the 3rd quarter. Darlington 36, Gordon Lee 17. We'll send it back to WLAQ for a quick commercial break and come back for Little's kickoff. Don't go away. All right, back at Chris Hunter Stadium, Griffin Brewster with another touchdown pass. Robert, Griffin Brewster has really looked good. He just put that ball up in the air and let Ezra Barnett run under it for a touchdown.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with Griffin. That was a great touch pass. He's nice and calm and relaxed back there in the pocket, just having a really good game.
Little, he's going to kick a high ball.
The ball's down. That's Darlington's ball.
It sure was. Boy, and that is number 88 for Darlington, Gil Maurer, the sophomore. He recovers it. And you know, Robert, Gordon Lee had a man who called a fair catch, but another man backed up and then missed the ball.
You see it all the time in baseball of the center fielder and the shortstop having conversations and having contact back there trying to get an easy pop fly, and that's just what happened. It looked like number 22, Lane Hughes, signaled for the fair catch and was getting under it, but backed up into someone. And what a heads-up play by Gill just to keep running and keep that play alive and dive on the ball.
All right, and Darlington will have a 1st and 10 at the 32-yard line of the Trojans. A timeout has been called on the field, so we're going to send it back to WLAQ. Well, actually, they're coming right back out on the field. I guess this is just a refreshment timeout for the referees, so it won't be enough time to go back for a commercial break. Honeymoon Bakery icing on the cake player of the game will be announced after tonight's football game. Griffin Brewster having a great game. Casey Gunn, the freshman, having a great game. Several candidates for Honeymoon Bakery icing on the cake player of the game. Honeymoon Bakery in downtown Rome. Great treats. Griffin Brewster fakes it to Carl Swiger, and then he pitches to Tajay Watley coming on a reverse. Flag comes flying
Comes in late from the back.
Yeah, Tajay Watley gained about 6 or 7, but this may go for naught. Let's see what the referee is going to say. Gordon Lee is clapping, and now the referee will give us the official signal. Another block in the back. And Robert, I have to say that if Darlington, if you're going to get penalties, get all your mileage out of it. They sure have tonight, because there have been a bunch of big ones. Personal fouls, block in the back.
We can't seem to get out of our own way. I like that set there with Jacob Hunt lined up as a tight end and then Tate Rutledge lined up as an additional tight end and then running that speed sweep over to Tajay.
Tajay, nice reverse.
It was a good reverse, but if you could put those two guys up there blocking in front of you, you're going to have a good day.
All right, 2 wide outs to the far side. Griffin Brewster getting a play change, giving it to the offensive line. Tajay, his halfback, he hands it to Tajay. Tajay just puts his head down and he dances forward inside the 35, down close to the original line of scrimmage, and the referee is signaling timeout.
That is a Gordon Lee player slow to get up.
Yeah, an injury for Gordon Lee. He's walking off the field. That is number 20, Patrick Howard. Shaking up a little bit on the play, but he's going off on his own power, so we're glad to see that.
We certainly are. And I like the Darlington formation they've got with Elijah Ball and Tate Rutledge lined up right next to each other on the right side. That should be a very formidable blocking duo. And now that Jacob Hunt's in the game, you put all 3 of those guys on one side of the line, and they could do some damage.
Yeah, and when you're over here, you got Tinkerbell, Ratledge, and Elijah Ball on one side. You got some guys that can really block. And hand off to Tajay. Tajay cutting it upfield inside the 30 down to about the 27-yard line. And let's see, I think that's going to make it 3rd down, Robert, and it's going to be third. Let's see, about 4.5 or 5 where they've got it. The line to make from here looks like just inside the 23.
Maybe you're right. It might be the 23 or the 22.
I'll say Darlington will have a 3rd down. It's manageable. Griffin Brewster hotter than a firecracker tonight down here at Darlington Chris Hunter Stadium, and a lot of people playing really well for Darlington tonight. Brewster back to throw, looking downfield, rolling to his right. He's got pressure. The pocket is collapsing, throws the ball incomplete. intended for Ian Payne over here on the near sideline, and Gordon Lee had a man between Payne and Brewster, but it was a low throw. Nobody could have gotten to it. Incomplete.
I think he was throwing that away. Everyone was covered. The next time he throws it away, Coach Athey is going to ask him to just throw it out of bounds instead of throwing it at somebody's feet. But it was good coverage from Gordon Lee, and it looks like Darlington's going to go for it on fourth down.
Fourth and about 4. The Tigers trying to draw Gordon Lee offside, and those down linemen, they're just on their knees now.
Yeah.
You know, they're not even, now they're starting to get up. Griffin Brewster changing the play at the line of scrimmage. Carl Swiger moves over to his right. 2 wideouts to either side. Griffin Brewster going to throw a quick pitch to Ty-J Watley. Ty-J Watley breaking tackles, and he's going to be down inside the 5-yard line. And just a quick throw from Griffin Brewster to Ty-J Watley, who was in the slot, Robert, and Darlington's going to have a first and goal inside the 5.
Well, we had 2 double slots with Carl Swiger as the running back, and Gordon Lee went into man. It was a good recognition, and I think that's what Coach Bell was calling as the audible. Ty-J Watley just gave a little head fake, stuck right inside of that safety, and Griffin Brewster was able, almost like a posting up basketball play, and then once Ty-J's got the ball in his hand, he's off to the races.
All right, power I formation, handoff to Ty-J. Oh, fake to Ty-J Griffin Brewster.
All right.
Touchdown. Holy cow. 5-yard touchdown pass. That's what we'll give him to Tinkerbell, his second reception of the night. And the Tigers now have extended their lead to 42-17. Great fake to Ty-J Watley in a power I formation. And Griffin rolled to his right, Robert, and Tinkerbell going across the back line of the end zone was wide open.
That was a good waggle right call. Everybody's looking at Ty-J to get the ball, and he really had his choice of 2 receivers. You had Jacob Hunt running the deep cross, and then Carl Swiger was running the shallow cross. He could have hit either one of those. But great job by both those receivers, and obviously making the catch for the touchdown.
Tinkerbell to Payne to Little. It's up. It's good. And Darlington is now going to be up 43-17. So 4:33 to play here in the third quarter. And we're going to send it back to WLAQ for a 30-second break. Tigers 43, Gordon Lee 17. Don't go away. All right, and we've lost our connection to WLAQ. We'll get that back, but Robert Tucker Miller on another kickoff return, and he ran sideways and sideways and sideways. And
he either needs to fair catch that or at least catch it in the air. By letting that ball bounce, that is dangerous, because you never know where that ball is going to bounce, and it's a live ball on the kickoff.
Yeah, and so you know, if you are a Darlington fan, you like that sideways back and forth instead of running the ball downfield. Thompson shotgun, and he hands off to Jarvis, slips under 3 Darlington men, Robert, and he's going to be out to about the 27-yard line. They had him dead to rights in the backfield. And let's see where they mark it. Close to the 28. He'll be second down at about 7.
He got real slippery and slipped through 2 or 3 defensive linemen that had him way back in the backfield.
All right, Darlington up now 43-17. If you're just joining us, 3:55 to play in the third quarter. This has been a long football game. Many penalties. Thompson rolling to his right. Throws the ball in and out of the hands of his intended receiver. Good coverage over there by who else, Robert?
Casey Gunn, and they're going to throw a flag.
And let's see what the flag is.
The Darlington players were indicating it was against Gordon Lee, but it came after the play.
Oh, the referee's talking to Gunn, and I think they might get Darlington for a little excess celebration. You think so?
I don't think so. I didn't see that.
Well, I didn't see that. Yeah, unsportsmanlike conduct. And the referee went over and talked to Gunn. Casey Gunn is not a happy person right now.
No, I didn't see that.
But you see Rhett McDermott. Boy, he went over there, calmed him down. Good job, Rhett McDermott.
Well, I think that the senior leadership is going to help resolve that situation, and Casey's going to come over to the sidelines and then talk to Coach Hunt. But it looked like a good play for the young man.
Yeah. I'm wondering if he just said something. Thompson, a shotgun after the 15-yard penalty, hands it on a speed sweep to a man coming to this side. Roth Wilcox is going to take him out of bounds and then try to hold him up. Robert, did you see that it looked like the referee was shaking his head and looking at number 14, Hunter Hodson, as if Hodson had fallen down on purpose and was looking like he was trying to get a penalty?
I did not see that. What I did see was what I thought a crackback block coming back on Rhett McDermott. They outlawed that this year, and I wonder if it slipped the referee and he didn't see that. That whole play was set off by the wide receiver coming in and blocking that outside linebacker, what is normally called a crackback block, which was legal until this year. So now hitting anyone who's not fully facing you as defenseless is a penalty, but it looked like Gordon Lee got away with one there.
Loss of 5 on the play as Roth Wilcox tackles the runner behind the line, and it's going to be intercepted. That ball was intercepted by Rhett McDermott on a
that was
tip, and Rhett McDermott running down.
He's getting in there. Touchdown.
Oh, Rhett McDermott, a 37-yard. Well, actually, he caught that ball at about the 40.
About the 40, you're right. That was a screen pass that was set up to their running back. One of our defensive linemen got their hands on the ball. I don't know who it was, but after that it was a tip drill, and Rhett did a great job of snatching it and then just running.
Boy, it looked like it went through several pairs of hands before he got it.
It did. I think one of our linemen tipped it, and then the running back missed it because it was getting misdirected, and Rhett made a great job of getting his hands on it.
Wow, what a great play. And we're going to give him a 40-yard touchdown on an interception. And Little is going to kick the point. It is up. It is good. So the Tigers now extend the lead to 50-17. And, boy, Robert, that happened so fast. I saw that ball bouncing around, and then all of a sudden you could see Rhett taking off downfield. And he had it, and he really turned on some speed. There.
His back was to us, so he couldn't really see if he had caught it or not. But once he started running, there was a huge gaggle of defensive linemen that happily blocked for him into the end zone.
And right there, Robert, 2 things by Rhett McDermott in that little sequence. When Casey Gunn got that penalty, that unsportsmanlike penalty, who was it that went over to calm down the freshman? It was Rhett McDermott, and Rhett McDermott grabs that ball out of the air after it's been tipped up in the air by 2 or 3 people, and then takes it in for a touchdown. And now the Tigers lead 50-17.
Yep, that's great leadership there, leading by example and keeping everybody with their heads cool.
Gordon Lee came into the game a 31-point underdog, and they now trail by 33. So it's pretty close. Little high end over end kick, and nobody's gonna field it.
They've got to fair catch that ball and get on it. That's a live ball.
Yeah, I want it, but I don't want it. And it bounced up in the air. Tucker Miller grabbed it, and he was immediately tackled by several Darlington players. Right now, Robert, this is the first time it has appeared like Gordon Lee's losing its poise.
A little bit. I think there's a couple things going on. We talk about the size difference, and here it is, late third quarter. I think conditioning and you're just getting tired. Those guys have been out probably playing both sides of the ball. They're not as deep, and they're starting to get tired, making mistakes.
All right. I formation. Jarvis gets the ball, tries to hit up in middle. Nothing there. Swings that to the right. Still running. And he's going to be tackled at about the 34-yard line, Robert. Boy, I'm impressed by Braden Jarvis.
How can you not be? He made 5 guys miss on that play. And yet he only gained 7 yards, but he probably ran 30 vertically, beating everybody to the outside, shedding tackles, and he is a tough guy to bring down.
Yeah, you're just looking at a bunch of young, hungry players, and right now Darlington has the size advantage, particularly on the defensive line. But, boy, they're playing hard. You got to give credit to Coach Ellis and his staff for the hard play of the Gordon Lee Trojans.
Yeah, absolutely. They are not giving up and playing tough.
Hand off to Jarvis up the middle, and looks kind of like a rugby scrum there. And he gets it out to about the 35. Gordon Lee will have a third down and about 3.
Yeah, Tate Ratledge did a great job of closing up that hole on the left side, and he really had nowhere to run.
Tate Ratledge gets back there so fast, and he can clog it up. There's a guy who played for the Baltimore Colts back in the early 60s, and Tate Ratledge reminds me of that Big Daddy Lipscomb, and he would get in the backfield so fast. Somebody asked him one time, well, how you get back there so fast, how do you know who to tackle? He said, I just scoop them up and go through them until I find the one with the ball and tackle him. Thompson rolling to his left. He can't get his shoulder squared. This is going to be it. He finally throws the ball. Tate Ratledge.
That should be grounding, intentional grounding.
Yeah, Tate Ratledge just smashed him.
The thing, Steve, that's so impressive about, and I can't believe they're not calling intentional grounding on that play.
This game, we're not even in the fourth quarter yet. We have 1:11 to play in the third quarter. It's almost 20 till 10, and the referees might be saying, well, let's just get this thing out of the way here.
The thing that we haven't spoke about as the trio of Tate Ratledge, Elijah Ball, and Jacob Hunt come off the field is not only their size and speed, but their just athletic ability.
Great punt, line drive, but it's going to come down to a man at about the 33-yard line, and that's Casey Gunn, the freshman. Tajay was not in there, but Casey Gunn fields that punt. I'm again, very impressed with the freshman for Gordon Lee, that punter. He has, if he was a quarterback, you'd say he has a quick release because he gets that ball out of his hands
as
quickly. Fast as anybody I've ever seen.
It is, and before we get too far away from it, Steve, one thing I wanted to point out about that last play is it was great coverage by the defensive backs, but that play was made by Jacob Hunt. And we talked kind of all game about containing the quarterback and letting him inside. That time, Jacob did a great job of driving to that upfield shoulder, forcing that quarterback to reverse fields and turn back around by containing him. And who was there but Tate Ratledge to really close that play down.
All right, Darlington, 1st and 10 at their own 33. Griffin Brewster hands off to Carl Swiger, and I believe that's Carl. Let's see.
I think that's number 4, Colin Rogers.
It is. You're absolutely correct.
That's the first time we've seen him in the game, and that was a great hole opened up on the right side of the line between the guard and the tackle, and he ran a little bit upright, but good to see him out there, some sophomores getting some time.
Yeah, good hard running out to about the 39, a gain of about 5.5 for Colin Rogers, the sophomore. And so it's great to see some guys coming in getting some playing time here, and Darlington is putting in some other players
and
now.
Ian Payne's taking the snap in the Wildcat.
All right, Ian Payne, and he's going to hand the ball. Let's see, is that Rogers?
That was Rogers again.
So Rogers gets out to a first down.
Big cheer from the crowd with that collision.
Yeah, we're inside the 22-second mark here in the third quarter. The clock is running, and I don't believe that Darlington will be running another play here in the third quarter. So the Tigers breaking the game open a little further. 50-17 is their score at the end of the third quarter. We're going to send it back to WLAQ for a commercial break, and we will come back for the fourth quarter. Don't go away. If you're a Tiger, this is an enjoyable night from Chris Hunter Stadium. back at Jerry Sharp Field, Chris Hunter Stadium. Two things, Robert, we want to get a plug in for our advertisers. Honeymoon Bakery, icing on the cake player of the game, to be announced at the end of tonight's game. Tinkerbell, Jacob Hunts had a great football game. Casey Guns had a great football game. Tajay Watley, Griffin Brewster. We could call out a bunch of different people, and previous winners thus far this season have been Tajay Watley for Gaston, Tate Ratledge for the Ridgeland game, and then last week Griffin Brewster. For the Honeymoon Bakery, icing on the cake player of the game after tonight's game, Honeymoon Bakery, Broad Street. And then Steak and Shake, the post-game report. It will be coming up immediately following tonight's football game as we enter the fourth quarter. Just think about steak burgers, french fries, and milkshakes, and Darlington way ahead of Gordon Lee, and that will have to put a smile on your face.
It does, and when you know the game is going well when your backup quarterback is getting time in the third quarter. So I expect for the fourth quarter to see a lot of running of the ball. Looks like we've got our second-team lineman in there. And Darlington's going to kind of eat up the clock ahead by 33 points.
Ian Payne in a shotgun formation, man in motion, and that is Colin Rogers, who comes over to be his halfback. He's going to hand it off to Rogers, coming to this side. Rogers is going to midfield. Rogers is out to about the 46. Well, he's actually across midfield to the 46-yard line of Gordon Lee. A penalty flag has been thrown. Illegal block in the back against Darlington. That's the third one tonight.
And boy, Colin runs it hard, doesn't he? It's good to see the young guys getting some game experience. Most of these guys will play on the scout team during the week, so they're playing the opposing team. And to get reps at a game time with the purple jersey on is certainly something good, so they can see themselves on film. And obviously, there's some details we need to work out with the blocking in the back, but seems like the first team is doing that as well.
All right, that moves the ball back to the 35-yard line. The line to make is the 46 of Gordon Lee, so it's first and 19. Payne hands off to Rogers. Rogers, right side, 40, and he's tackled over there. And, Robert, the one thing is you get it, you work and you work and you work. There's just nothing that replicates games.
There's not. The speed of it and the intensity of it, you just can't get in practice. And all of these guys that are out here right now, they are one snap away from being playing in the first quarter with the first team. So it is great to have moments like this to get your guys as much experience as you can.
A lot of guys coming out on the field right now. Some don't get a whole lot of playing time, but this is a great opportunity for them. Joseph Ingram, he split out to the near side. Of course, we said Colin Rogers, he is playing halfback. And Payne hands the ball off to Rogers, and Rogers is going to lean forward and get out to about the 44-yard line of Darlington. So that's going to leave Darlington with a third down and 10.
Looked like a little miscommunication between Colin and Ian there, running into each other in the backfield. And that's why you're out there playing to work through these things and figure out what's going on.
Colin Cesaro comes off the field. Let's see. We've got number 45 out there, Kobe Nadu. And I'm trying to get some other numbers for Darlington, especially linemen, if we can get those for you. Payne throws complete to the far sideline. The receiver is immediately knocked out of bounds over there.
And that was a good throw, but about 5 yards short of where we need to be for the first down. Third and 10 is a tough pill to tackle.
Yeah, it is. And that was completed to number 32, Tommy Atha. And now Tate Ratledge will come into punt. Mitch Kriego, the senior, he comes running off the field. So guys getting playing time. Tate Ratledge is going to stand at his own 32, and it's going to be a line drive kick, good, nice spiral, and number 24, Tucker Miller, he grabs it. That time he ran straight upfield, but there was too much Darlington coverage, and he was tackled fairly close to where he fielded the punt, Robert.
And there was good coverage down there. I think Carson Swiger was who actually got him down, but there were 3 or 4 Tigers down there that had good coverage on the punt team.
All right, we have Luke Lewis who is coming into the game. Joseph Ingram, he's at cornerback over on this side. We'll get some other guys for you. We know that you want to hear names called out, and we try to get them all for you as we can. Rhett McDermott is still in the game. Gil Maurer playing a linebacker spot. Even a couple of numbers I don't think we have on our roster. And Austin Thompson, well, actually, this is, let's see, it's number 14, Hunter Hodson. And he's going to hand off the ball to Jarvis. Jarvis spins, and he is going to be outside of the 25, out to about the 28-yard line.
Well, that's a tall order coming in with the second-team guys coming in and still having to play against Brandon Jarvis. But they did a nice job of corralling and tackling him and getting him for only a 5-yard gain.
Yeah, Luke McDermott, he made that tackle. And now we've got Tyler Watkins, freshman, coming in. Tyler doesn't get an opportunity to play a whole lot. Fine young man. He comes in, and Darlington and Gordon Lee now playing out the string. 7:25 to play in the football game. Handoff to Jarvis. Jarvis keeps those legs moving, and boy, a lot of enthusiasm, Robert, with those gentlemen that get a chance to play right now.
Absolutely, they've been on the sidelines all game, foaming at the mouth to get in, and they're getting their chance, and they're playing well. They are playing very well.
Yeah, and you know, right now, based on what we've been talking about, a lot of freshmen and sophomores on Gordon Lee. This is more evenly matched.
That's right.
Between the two teams, and that is going to be handoff to number 15 for Gordon Lee. He's going up the far sideline. We haven't seen him tonight. Brody Cobb, the freshman, gets a carry for Gordon Lee. I know Brody's mom and dad are happy to see him get a chance. Just like the parents of all the Darlington players. Number 61 for Darlington coming in, that's Burke Scrimshire. And he gets a chance to come in and play as a freshman. And Burke, fine boy. And he played for us. Great parents.
Well, it looked
with a lot of great guys.
They sure are. It looks like Gordon Lee's doing the same thing of rotating in and getting some of their second-team guys in there as well, which is good for them as well.
You know, and that's going to be a first down carry for Gordon Lee out to about the 41-yard line on the far hash mark. And is that Caleb Vines over there at tackle spot?
I'm trying to see the numbers.
Maybe it's C.J. Thomas, but boy, Caleb Vines, I'll see him in my sleep. Boy, a great linebacker for Gordon Lee. Darlington with good penetration that time, and that is Brody Cobb slipping a tackle, and he gains about 2 out to about the 42-yard line.
But great job by the defensive end, Luke Lewis. He sprinted upfield and really turned that running back inside where all the other tacklers were. That running back wanted to bounce outside, but because of Luke, it fired up the field a couple yards, forced him back inside.
Yeah, Luke getting a chance to play. I know he's thrilled. Mom and Daddy are. Darlington up 50-17, and there goes Brody Cobb. He's going to have a first down in Darlington territory at the 45-yard line. 4:53 to play here in the football game.
And Luke McDermott, the safety, comes from across the field to make that tackle. He might have scored if Luke doesn't make that tackle. That was a nice job.
Luke, a really good athlete, and he's got some speed on him. When he played against Gaston, scored a touchdown, and really did a great job. We're still trying to get the numbers in on different people. Cade Brock, he's in there on the defensive line. Good to see Cade get a chance to get in there. His mom and dad are proud of him. And this is Brody Cobb again, and he's going to be inside the 44, down to about the 41. Robert, I'm very impressed with Brody Cobb as he's running just as hard as Braden Jarvis did.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with the effort of all of the Gordon Lee players. They are good, hard-nosed football players.
And if you're just joining us, the Gordon Lee, Darlington, a lot of penalties tonight. But these guys aren't doing that. They're just coming in and playing hard. Low snap, and Darlington wraps up the quarterback as he's trying to get outside. He was trying to make something happen, and that's Hunter Hodson. He's trying to make something happen out of nothing, Robert.
And he was, and I think Carson Swiger was the first guy there. He's the offside defensive end, and he was in the backfield really quickly. The quarterback there, Hunter, did not have a whole lot of choices with what to do.
Jackson Brewster, the freshman, is on the field. Hampton Watkins back on the field. So getting a lot of guys playing time. And hands off to Brody Cobb. Brody Cobb coming this side, and out of the 11 Darlington players on the field, Robert, I think 9 of them were in on that tackle.
Well, the first one that hit him was Gil Maurer, and he came up and stuck him hard. That was a great hit. And then the rest of the team, I think, gets credit for the tackle.
All right, that's going to put the ball at the, let's see, we'll say 44-yard line. And it's going to be 4th down and about 10. The line to make is the 34. We're inside the 2.5-minute mark of the football game tonight. Darlington up 50-17. If you're just joining us, nice night for Darlington. Hodson back to throw. He's going to throw the ball downfield, and that is going to be pass interference by Darlington. The receiver stopped, and Robert, their defender never turned around. That will almost always get you pass interference.
Yeah, I think that was Mitch Carrigo. A lot of pressure up the middle, and I think that was coming from 66, Aiden Langford. Hurried that throw, and it was underthrown, and you're right. Our cornerback never really turned around to find him.
Yeah, and in those cases where you put your hand up in the receiver space but you don't turn around, almost every time that's going to get you.
Every time.
Penalty. Casey Zazzaro comes in. It's Colin's brother. But Casey in for some playing time over here at cornerback. And, his mom and daddy are real proud. Both of them have been down here at Darlington a long time. John and Bibi, they're great. And just glad to have that family down here. Some really great kids playing on Darlington, and Coach Atha has done a great job with them.
Well, this second group of players that's come in have done a really good job on defense. They're making Gordon Lee put up a long, prolonged drive, and there's a lot of effort and good play.
Boy, it is some good, fierce, tough blocking up front by Gordon Lee. Brody Cobb takes that ball right off the guard here, and Darlington bringing in a couple of other people. We got Tyson Doherty and Aiden Langford coming back on the field.
Yeah, I think they want to make sure everybody's going to get in this game.
Yeah, it's really a great opportunity for everybody. We're inside the 45-second mark, and a penalty has been called against Gordon Lee.
I didn't catch what it was, but the clock is still running. We're going to be lucky if we get another play out with 30 seconds left to go.
Yeah. It's another one of those things where you do wonder at this point in the game why you're calling a penalty. But the officials, they're doing a good job here. And now handoff to Brody Cobb. Brody Cobb trying to get to the far sideline. He will get knocked out of bounds over there. The clock continues to run. That will be the final play of tonight's football game. So Darlington running their record to 2-2 tonight with a nice victory against Gordon Lee Trojans, starting off the region right. Tigers 50 and Gordon Lee 17. And we're going to send it back to WLAQ for a commercial break, and we will come back for the post-game report sponsored by Steak and Shake. For a wrap-up, don't go away, ladies and gentlemen, because we got the Honeymoon Bakery icing on the cake player of the game coming. All right, back here at Chris Hunter Stadium, ladies and gentlemen, Honeymoon Bakery icing on the cake player for tonight's football game. Tinkerbell Jacob Hunt. We'll ask him not to put Tinkerbell on his gift certificate. they can just put Jacob Hunt on there. But Jacob Hunt, tonight's Honeymoon Bakery icing on the cake player of the game. Robert, spectacular game on defense, offense, multiple touchdown catches. Jacob Hunt he just played an all-around outstanding game.
He did. I think there were several worthy candidates for there. I like Jacob's play, especially in the interior line. Man, he was making some great blocks and really clearing the way for Ty-J Watley on one of those plays, and then really showed his athletic ability on the tip ball interception and then his catch in the end zone. He is a really good football player.
He is, and Mom and Daddy, they're wonderful, great folks, and done a great job raising him up. He's such a polite young man, and he's a commitment